Hi, welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live out your commission with the Lord. And really, Sharon Rudolph and I, Christine Caston, are continuing conversations that we're just capturing. And these, I think our heart in this is to really just, when we talk about practical ways to live out your life, what we're talking about is there are day-to-day things that we do, choices we make that no one may ever see. A lot of times we think something that is an act of bravery is something that is a big deal, in the sense of there's lots of people involved with it. But sometimes an act of bravery may be something that no one ever sees, but it's a risk for you. So we have a saying in the Warrior Commission that is, get your brave on. And that phrase is really a rallying cry. It's not an admonishment. It's actually a rallying cry of an invitation to recognize an area that is a risk to you. It may not be a risk to someone else, but it's a risk to you that you choose to say, I'm going to take that risk and I'm going to step into whatever that thing is. And so Sharon, let's talk about getting your brave on, and what does that phrase mean to you?
Well, nothing heroic happens, because when you think of brave, you think of, at least in my head, I think of heroic.
Yes.
Nothing heroic happens without being willing to step into vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And so often in our lives, we choose the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. And if vulnerability is required, which is uncomfortable, and there can be tension, and we don't like how it feels, we just go around that rock.
Sorry, I'll go this way.
Around.
Exit stage left.
When the heroic thing, when the brave thing is to step into it. Maybe it's getting in the water altogether, right? Because there are some people who live life on the sidelines. But I love how having a relationship with Jesus and knowing God gives us resources to tap into bravery, tap into stepping into vulnerability, creates possibilities for heroic, even if it's heroic no one will ever see.
That only God knows.
Only God knows. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is cool, especially in my book, that God does know. I think we have a tendency to think, oh, God knows all my dirty little secrets. But what if God knows all of your acts of bravery?
Yeah.
All of the times when the anxiety was too much and you still went to work. Mm-hmm. All the times you didn't know how to interact with people, so you got a dog. Mm-hmm. That's a first step. That takes huge bravery to risk relationship, even if it's simply with a pet. There are things that we do and God's applauding. Mm-hmm. And I just think, I think we need to change our definition of brave. Mm-hmm. And change our definition of vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Because we all face those things every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the things I've found is that in my willingness to say yes and get my brave on, pull it on, and to take a risk, that some of the things that seemed risky in the past aren't risky anymore.
Amen.
So in other words, my perception of what it takes to be brave changes over time, and so, if my risk taking involved going up to someone and saying hi, because I wasn't comfortable with that, well, then getting my brave on and doing that over and over and over again, and also growing in my own maturity and my own confidence in who I am and who God is for me, and in my life, that shifts, and that's not as big of an issue for me anymore. So now I have to get my brave on in other areas, right? Because there's continued growth. But I think that what happens is when we're in a place of dreaming with God, those God dreams can look like a lot of different things. So a God dream can be something that impacts multitudes, kind of thing. But a God dream can also be that I'm going to go about my day without a high level of anxiety. It
Right.
could be I'm going to, pick up that phone and call people when everything in me hates picking up the phone to call people, or to connect to people, or like you said, getting that dog, instead of taking those steps. And I think that as we take those steps, and as we learn what it is to get our brave on, as we see that growth and we see the progress, there are a lot of things in our lives that now open up to greater possibilities. It's like you hear, be faithful in the small stuff, right?
Right.
Well, get your brave on in the small stuff, and make the choices that are there, that are truly heroic choices for you, and that you are a hero in those choices.
Yes. I have known someone who was a hoarder and felt safe with all this stuff. And to get her brave on, she hired someone to come in and help her clean out her house.
Mhm.
And that was huge for her. And there would be people, oh, she should, that don't understand that that was a heroic act for her. I think I love the movie American Sniper, but this guy, and in the story, this man was wired for bravery, wired for risk in a certain area.
Mhm.
And I think at times in the culture, we see the soldier as the hero. And even in the last 18 months and all that's gone on the planet, we have, there's been a shift in the definition of the word hero. And so we call the checkout people at the grocery store heroes,
Mhm.
because they're willing to go to work and risk maybe getting sick, right? And I think it's a fun conversation, and it's a good conversation to say, okay, God, how do you want me to be a hero today?
Mhm.
And what's possible? Where do you want me to embrace bravery that maybe I haven't even seen that that's what needs to happen?
Mhm.
And I'm just getting, even as we're sitting here talking, I'm getting excited about that conversation.
Mhm.
And where might we be able to be brave? And in that place, faith is required.
Mhm.
I've known Jesus my whole life. I've had ups and downs, and there have been times when I've been told I have weak faith, and times people say, oh, you've got so much faith. And yet it's in the quiet conversations with God where faith is built, where faith is expanded,
Mhm.
so that stepping into the vulnerability and taking the risk to be brave is birthed.
Mhm.
And I love being in the Warrior Commission because it's a community where people are intentional
Mhm.
about that connection and about asking the question, okay, God, where is it you want me to be brave today?
Right. Right. And I think when you have a group of people, there's a lot in Western culture about doing things on your own, and and even in the phrase "get your brave on," there can be a mindset of I'm doing this, but the
Right.
reality is that yes, you make the choice to do that, but your choice, because of what happens in that, because of the faith that's grown, because of the risk that you choose to take, because of the confidence that's built, because of the faith walk with God that happens in that place, it becomes a testimony of an overcomer. And in that place of sharing that testimony with those around you, and especially with those who support you because they're on a similar journey, there's something that happens in your life that creates momentum toward getting your brave on more often,
Right.
Toward that faith being built, towards saying, it's okay if I'm vulnerable, because even if I'm vulnerable in this place that's uncomfortable, and even if I'm not received, I have a group of people who support me in
Yeah.
who I am, in what God's doing, and who love me. I have a safe place to live my life and do my journey with these people who are also excited about doing the
Yeah.
same thing in their own. So it's not like everyone's standing around going, well, what have you done lately? It's everyone standing around going, guess what happened today? Guess what God did for me today? Guess what risk I took? Look how I got my brave on here, and this is what happened. And it's those testimonies that create this incredible culture of life together, and a journey and a story that's created both as individuals and as those who are linking arms with each other.
Right.
And that's what we find in the Warrior Commission.
Yes. So you can check out the Warrior Commission at our website, thewarriorcommission.com, and see who we are and a little bit of how we do things. We'd love for you to join us on your journey and to be able to support you and expand your faith and help you get your brave on. What might be possible with God in that place?